Hi there, this is Noah with the Marketing and Training Department. This week's Tech Tuesday video is going to be a fine-toothed walkthrough of the ordering process. We're going to really look at the ordering process in detail. Now, before we dive into that, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe to the ERS YouTube channel by clicking on the link in the corner up there or the link in the corner down there so you never miss out on any of these updates. So let's dive in. I am logged into the back end of one of my practice folders, and I'm going to go ahead and click here to open up the live website. Now this particular site is using a custom header. So the header and navigation bar up here are being generated through custom code. That's how I'm able to have this flashing call to action. You can actually upload your Book Now button, your check availability button, your call to action in the back end under Admin, Website, General Images, Book Now. But again, in this case, this is being generated from custom code. I'm going to go ahead and click on my call to action. And the next thing that we are going to see is what we call a start step. So this header right here and this menu option here prompts my customers to choose delivery or pickup. This can also be useful for example, our dumpster customers use this a lot to prompt their customers to choose whether it's a commercial or residential job at the beginning of the ordering process. So if you have, different pricing for different service areas, or you want to display different availability and or different pricing, that sort of thing for delivery versus pickup, that sort of thing, start steps can be a helpful way to start your order for that. So start steps have to be set up for you by the tech support department. So if you would like a start step, just send a quick email to support@eventrentalsystems.com. Tell them what you'd like to have in the start step, and they can start you out that way. Now, one thing we can do with this is alternate schedule profiles. So if you have certain items that can be priced or available differently based on different variables, like whether it's a delivery or customer pickup, we can actually use alternate schedule profiles to do that, and we do that in conjunction with an order option at the start of the order. Again, the tech support department will be happy to walk you through that if you'd like to add that to your folder. So I'm going to go ahead and go with delivery and continue here. Now this text right here comes from Admin Rules Price Rule Set, so let's take a quick look at that. So we can see where that description text is coming from. When you click into price rule sets, if you're not seeing description text that matches what you see here, then probably what's happening is you don't have your view customized to see description. So in that case, maybe you might want to uncheck rules if they're taking up a lot of screen real estate, or whatever you need to do in order to make sure that you can see that description text in this menu view. So it's real simple. If we want to change that text, all we do is we click into here and we make our changes here and then we submit. It's bugging me that there is not an apostrophe in there. So let's go ahead and fix that. All right, so it looks like since we had already answered the delivery question, it's already taken us past that screen. So we're going to need to actually clear the order in order to start over and double check that our changes took place. So I am going to go ahead and pick a time, and I'll show you how you can quickly clear an order. Once the page loads, then we will click into cart, and it's really fast to just clear the cart and reset the order. So then we can start over, and once again, there is our start step. And when we continue, we should see the update. Yep, okay, there's that apostrophe. So I was going to say OCD, but it's really more ADHD that I have, is now satisfied. So let's go ahead and choose the 30th. Now, most of you are probably pretty familiar with this ordering process. The reason that order by date is taking us to what we call a time span selector, where your customers are choosing the start and end time of their party, is because that's what's in the top schedule profile. So if we click into Admin Product Schedule Profiles, the schedule profile that's at the top of this list is what's going to determine the behavior of your order by date screen. So in this particular case, main is the schedule profile at the top. It's probably going to be the case in most of our folders. You can see that there's a 9 a.m. and 9 p.m., earliest and latest time. And again, it's time span mode. So your customers choose the start and end time of their parties. I actually have Sundays set to have, a different time availability than other days of the week. But, you can have the Order by date actually just prompt people to pick a time slot or just pick a date or pick a date range, that sort of thing. So again, if your order by date isn't doing what you want it to, it's because of what's in your top schedule profile. So that's one reason that we do not encourage people generally to move schedule profiles around. For example, if you do that, that completely changes the way that your order by date is going to behave. So generally speaking, if you're not completely sure, leave that alone and check in with tech support. If you want to make changes and you're not exactly sure how to do it, check in with the tech support department. Usually a good call. All right, so we're going to go with 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on that day. And so, I actually am thinking I would like to reorder these categories. This is what we call the store. So if I click back into admin products sorting, that's going to enable me to reorder these categories. So I can move slides and combos to the top. They're, bigger ticket items. I make a little more money off of them. I'd like to kind of encourage that. Plus, they're more fun. So the slides and combos is now at the beginning, and let's click into that category and see what we've got in there. So I've got my gift cards in multiple categories. I can actually put the Waterslide first before the giant slide, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to click into slides and combos, and then I'm going to move the Waterslide to the top, and then I'm going to refresh the page in here. And sweet, the Waterslide is at the beginning, so I'm going to go ahead and click here. And then we are going to our cart screen. Now this is what we call a cart step. And this enables us to collect marketing data. And it also enables us to, on the next page, on the customer info page, display to customers what specials and discounts they qualify for. I have a loyalty rewards program, and if you aren't familiar with the loyalty and rewards program in our system, I encourage you to look it up in the knowledge base. You can go into the back end, and under help, you can type in loyalty, and a video will show up here. So I have that set up, and what happens is when people enter in their contact information, the system on the next page knows who they are and what their point balance is, and it's going to display all that information to them. Now, here's my thing about cart steps. You don't have to have one. Some people prefer to just have their suggested add-ons show, and they say the fewer steps before you get to that customer info page, the better. I get that. Again, I like the fact that we can collect marketing data at this point of the ordering process. I also like the fact that I can actually use my loyalty and rewards program as a selling point for my customers by displaying that information on that customer info page, and I need a cart step in order to do that. But again, my thing is, if you're going to put your customers through another step here, make it worth their while. I've actually customized the text here. This text right here defaults to saying something else. It doesn't, by default, it doesn't say enter your info so you can see what specials and discounts you qualify for. I changed it to that so that it will be perceived more as like, here, I'm going to do something for you, rather than, hey, give me your marketing information. It's, hey, give me some information so I can tell you what specials and discounts you qualify for. So a cart step has to be put in place for you by the tech support team. If you would like a cart step, just tell them what information you'd like to collect here. And by the way, this brings me to my final point about this. Collect marketing data here if you're going to. Don't just put a city and a zip code. That enables you to display their travel fee over here. But what's the point of that? You don't have any marketing information, and you made them go to another step just so you can tell them that they're going to have to pay a travel fee, right? I mean, it's like, again, if you're going to make them go through another step, make it worth their while. So I will show you where you can customize that text. You can go to admin, order config, miscellaneous order settings. And I can never remember where this exact setting is. I am going to do a Control F or Command F since I'm in Mac and do a search for the word cart. I know it's in here somewhere. Yep, cart step instruction. So again, it defaults to please fill out this form before checking out. And I'm just doing this so that I can make it clear to my customers that I'm giving them something in exchange for that information. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this out real quick and continue. And we are also looking at a suggested add-on. So this is for upselling. Now this is what we call my standard suggested add-on. And I'm going to go ahead and add a snow cone machine, which is going to prompt me to choose a free flavor. And this is a required add-on. In other words, the customer, it's not just for upselling. You actually need this information in order to proceed with the order. So I'm going to go ahead and submit. And I've actually set up a different suggested add-on, not with the snow cone machine, because required add-ons take precedence over suggested add-ons, but with the snow cone flavor choices in that required add-on. So each one of these items is set up with a unique suggested add-on, because I still want to upsell after they've added additional flavors. After they've chosen their free flavor, I want to serve them a different suggested add-on to prompt them to add additional flavors. So, okay, so let's see what happens next. I believe I actually made another suggested add-on that's going to lead with tables and chairs. I'm really trying to be strategic here and, squeeze as many dollars out of each order as I can. Yep. So how about some tables and chairs? And then face painter is the next thing that shows up there. And I still included those additional cherry snow cone flavors, or additional snow cone flavors as well. So again, you can get super strategic with your add-ons. I really should make a suggested add-on specifically for tables, so when someone adds tables to their cart, they're prompted to add chairs next. So let's actually take a look at add-ons so you can add as many of those darn things as you like to really get the most out of your orders. They're going to be under Admin, Products, Add-ons. And so you can see I've got my standard, snow cone flavor choice, additional. You know what? I'm going to actually start with the standard. I'm going to copy it. Whoops. So I'm going to move those tables to the top of the list. I'm actually going to get rid of, I meant to say chairs to the top of the list. I'm going to get rid of tables because they already added that to their order. I am going to leave the rest of this in place. And I think we're good here. So I'm going to go ahead and submit. Whoops. I forgot to change the name. Very important not to have two add-ons with the same name. So let's say after tables. All right, so let's try deleting the tables from our order and then adding them back in. And we should see the correct add-on. Oh, duh. They're not going to see it because I did not attach that add-on to the product. So let's go into Admin, Products, Items. And let's do a search for tables. It's going to be easier to find it that way. And there we are. So instead of the standard suggested add-on, we are going to go with After Tables. Then we're going to submit. And when we refresh the screen, we should see our new suggested add-on. How about some chairs to go with your tables? Okay, sweet. So, and then we can change quantities if we like. You get the idea. We can get super strategic with these suggested add-ons. So I'm going to go ahead and check out now. All right, now this is what we call the customer info screen. Now, some of us have the customer info screen and the event info screen. So in other words, there are two pages between your cart screen and your pay screen. If you would like to consolidate that into one page, just reach out to the tech support department and they will get that taken care of for you. Now, if you've already got everything consolidated into the one page, it's worth taking a look at what is on this page and what's required and what's not. So generally speaking, you can customize this page, but there are some things that you have to ask the tech support department to do for you. For example, all of this stuff over here on the left side of the screen that has your customer and event information, for the most part, that stuff has to be edited by the tech support team. For example, if you want to put that birthday field in there and you want to add that text that says optional and gives them formatting instructions, you can do that. You just have to ask the tech support department to do it. If you would like to only have one phone number required, you can do that. You can see I've only got one phone number field, period. To me, I just only want the one phone field. I'm assuming that all the phone numbers I'm getting are mobile phone numbers. So it's up to you what shows up on this screen and in what order. we, for security reasons, can't give you access to be able to edit these fields yourself, but you can edit them. You just have to ask the tech support department to do it. So sort of think about what information you want to collect here and what you want to be required and what you don't. And again, send an email to support@eventrentalsystems.com and they will take care of that for you. Now, all of that said, there are a few things that you can change yourself. And so let's go through that. So these drop-down menus here, and if you have any open-ended text fields, for example, maybe you have an open-ended text field that says something like, is your party for a particular person? If so, put their name here and we'll have a custom balloon for them or something like that. So those and drop-down menus both come from admin, order config, order options. So we can see when we look at our list of order options, it's the items that are in the top or bottom groups that are going to show up on this page. So I can actually reorder the damage waiver and park questions simply by putting the damage waiver in a different group. So if I change it from top or top NCRM event to bottom or bottom NCRM event, they're going to show up on this page, but because I just now put this one in the bottom group, it's probably going to show up underneath this one that's in the top group. So let's go ahead and refresh the screen and see if I'm right about that. Yep, okay. So there's an order options top group and a bottom group. And so if, for example, you would like to have some of your drop-down menus and text fields on this part of the page and some of them over here, we can move the order options top from here to here. You know, you have some flexibility in that regard. But in any case, you can change what order options show up on this page by what group you put them in. So either go with top or bottom if you'd like them to show up on this page. And by the way, I want to get a little more granular on these order options. Any order option that has the word park in the name of the order option is going to trigger some functionality that is going to give you different delivery windows for park events. For example, if your standard delivery window is 4 hours, that means you can be up to 4 hours early to a standard event, but your park delivery window might only be an hour by default, and you can change the default settings on all of those. And the idea being that you don't want to leave your park, you don't want to leave your equipment unattended at a public park for 4 hours. So in any case, if somebody answers yes to that question, that's going to put a little tree in the upper right-hand corner of the routing icon for that stop, and just to tell you that that event is at a park and it's going to use the different, routing settings that you have for parks for that particular order. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this marked as no. And by the way, we can tell that this particular order option includes a blank option. They could just bypass this question and not answer it by just leaving it blank. The damage waiver question does not include a blank option. The damage waiver question defaults to adding 7% to their order and them choosing yes. If they actually want to not add a damage waiver to their order, they have to click into the menu and choose no. I feel like I'm going to get more damage waivers that way, and it's literally free money. So if you would like to change your damage waiver to have that format, which I encourage you to do if it doesn't already, you can just go back into admin order options, admin order config order options, and then click into damage waiver. And under include blank option, make sure no is selected. Now, checkboxes. Those are what we call reminders. And those you can also edit under admin order config reminders. Some of these show up in different parts of the system. We can see that the only reminder that I have showing up as of now is the deposit reminder. And so I'm going to go ahead and click into that and show you a couple of little tricks that I did with that. So I actually put some HTML in here. I want people to be able to click here to read a short document that tells them about my deposit terms and conditions. I don't want to take up a bunch of real estate on the screen with that information here. So my deposit and rain check policy and terms and conditions are over here. And I actually created a separate web page specifically for that. So we can tell in the HTML here that it's a standard link format. It's href equals, and then you just use a relative link if it's a a page that's actually on your website, and use an absolute link if it's a page from an external website. Target equals blank. That just means it's going to show up in a separate browser window, and then I've closed my A tag with the closing tag there. So that's how that works. And again, if you want more of these checkboxes to show up on this page, you simply just create them under reminders. Make sure that they're set to display on checkout yes, and they're in the reminders group. And that's all you got to do with that. Now, you can also have additional reminders show up only if certain items are put in the order or for other reasons. And in that case, you would just set those to display on checkout no, and you would use additional reminders at the item level to make sure that they show up only for those items. And you can do the same thing with availability rule sets and order options. Not going to get too into the weeds on that stuff right now. Just remember that if you want drop-down menus, text boxes, and or checkboxes to show up during the ordering process, but only if certain items are chosen or certain other conditions are met, you can do that with either additional reminders or availability rule sets. So reach out to the tech support department if you have further questions about that. Okay, now customer comments is an additional field. Again, to reorder all of this stuff, you have some control over that, just in terms of where you put your order options. If you have some of your order options over here and some of them over here, that just means you have the order options top section in this column and the order options bottom section in this column. So you might be able to change things around in the way that you want just by changing the order options group that those order options are in. But if you would like to move around any other stuff, for example, if you would like to create another column or, move this coupon code field over to a different part of the page, etc., that the tech support department has to do for you. So again, just write an email to support@eventrentalsystems.com with all the detail as far as how you would like things to be arranged on this page. Now, we do have the ability to customize the options that show up in some of these drop-down menus that are kind of special, that aren't order options. For example, this is references. Now, I have that text set to display "How did you hear of us?" instead of reference. And so again, that's something you would ask the tech support department to change for you if you would like. I mean, what text displays right there. But if you want to change what options show up in that menu, you can do that under Admin, Order Config, References. So let's say I'm not running that ad anymore. I haven't for a few months, so I don't want that to show up in the drop-down menu. I can click into here, and it's still using the old information. So if I refresh the screen, it no longer shows up. So same with this one, setup surface. Now I have it set to say setup surface no rocks instead of just setup surface because I want to remind my customers. We have a lot of customers who use rocks as a form of surface mulch in their yards in Albuquerque, and I want to remind people we cannot set up on those rocks. So instead of having another checkbox, I wanted to just put it in here, no rocks. To me, that takes up, it's going to not be a separate checkbox that's going to take up more screen space and feel like another barrier to sale, but I am still conveying that information to the customer. So in order to change this, I had to reach out to the tech support departments and ask them to change this field title, as we call it, for the setup surfaces dropdown. But to change the options that show up in this menu, that's simple. I can do that under Admin, Order Config, Setup Surfaces. And you know what? I can actually even specify a cost for any of these setup surfaces that I want to. So now when I come back in here and refresh the screen, I should see a $15 cost displaying with that particular setup surface. Concrete and asphalt. All right, so you get the idea. This information, by the way, is showing up because I have the coupon code on this page and because I had the customer info, the basic identifying customer info in that cart screen. So because the system was able to know who this customer is based on that information when this page was loaded, that's why it displays all of this information in there. So again, if you have a loyalty and rewards program, you probably want to have a cart step so that when this page loads, the system will know what customer is being helped here. So I'm just going to quickly fill this stuff out and get it out of the way. And sweet, here we are. Now, I do not have my travel fees set up for this particular folder, but those will show up in here, of course. And you know what? I forgot to actually show y'all the customer info drop down under cities. This is another thing that I see a fair number of mistakes being made with. So this menu right here, I actually made a mistake in here myself. Sandia Base is not a city. That is an Air Force base. I'll be happy to do business on Sandia Base, but it's not a city. You want this drop-down menu only to have cities. Things like banks and Air Force bases and neighborhoods and stuff like that make their way onto that list. So when you import your service areas, you have to clean up that list of cities so that it doesn't have things like Air Force bases in it. So we're going to do that under Admin Order Config Service Areas. All right, Sandia Base, you are not a city. You're going away. Okay, now another thing we should take a look at while we're in here, under states, most of us are just going to have one. You want to make sure that you have a name and a title. For reporting purposes, if you don't have a title listed, it will just display an ID number, which is a little confusing. So not the end of the world, but I encourage you to either write out the abbreviation or, spell out the name of the state in here under title. Make sure you have both a name and a title. All right, so let's refresh this screen, and we should see an updated, correct list of cities. Yep, no more Sandia Base. All right, so we've gone through the ordering process. The next thing I want to show you is if you do time slots. If you have, say, all-day events and you just want people to pick a day, or maybe you have a few different time slots per day. You have like a morning time slot, an afternoon time slot, and an evening time slot. You can absolutely set up your ordering process to work that way so that people just choose their time slot and they don't choose a start and end time. I will show you how to set that up in just a minute here. The one thing that I want to encourage you to do is if you do things that way, first of all, you probably want to edit your price rule text that starts your order to explain to your customers, we deliver either in the morning or the afternoon or the evening. So choose your time slot. If you need drop off before that time slot normally gets it or pick up after, you'll have a chance to let us know later in the ordering process. And so then on this page, you probably want to have an order option that says something to the effect of normally we'll drop off at X time in the morning, X time in the afternoon, X time in the evening. If you need us to drop it off before then or pick it up after then for an additional charge, maybe just say it'll cost you $20 or something like that. Please write that in here. So you want something like that to show up on this page to explain to your customers what the deal is. So all that having been said, let's go ahead and edit our top schedule profile to be a time slot schedule profile. So if we click into Admin Product Schedule Profiles, I actually already have a time slot that's set up in a similar way to that, so we can just take a look at this one. So single day time slots is what I've called it, and we can see that basically what it's doing is it's closing, the entire business is closed on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, everything's going to be delivered by 10 a.m., and I'm going to pick it up by Monday at 10 a.m. Saturday, everything's going to get delivered by Friday, 6 p.m., and I'm going to pick it up by Monday at 10 a.m. Sunday, everything's going to get delivered Friday by 6 p.m., and I'm going to pick up Monday by 10 a.m. So the word auto appearing at the end of these time slots is important. Basically, the way that the time slot ordering flow works is your customer picks their date and then they pick their time slot. But if there's only one time slot on any particular day, you don't want them to have to pick the only time slot that's available on that day. That's an extra click for them and it's not great. So auto makes it so that if there's only one time slot on a given day, it just skips that screen and it takes them straight to the store where they start putting inventory in their order. So I'm going to leave this as is, and I'm actually going to just move it to the top so that it becomes the top schedule profile. And then we'll go ahead and clear this previous order. In fact, you know what? It'll probably be faster for me to just go ahead and mark this order as paid. All right, so let's go ahead and start a new order with order by date. And you can see what that time slot workflow is going to look like. So yep, we can see it took us past the page where we would choose our time slot. We just picked a date, and there's only one time slot per date, so it just took us straight in there. Now, if we had multiple different time slots per date, then we would want to structure it like that. So we would maybe want to say something like this. You get the idea. So then if we click back in here to change the date, now we have to choose either a morning or afternoon time slot. You get the idea. Now, one last thing I want to address: if we want this Monday to if we want Mondays to show up as truly closed on this calendar, because this schedule profile will not allow booking on Mondays, right? We've got Mondays listed as closed, so that's going to work, but it won't necessarily display that way to your customer up front. So we need to make sure to always do closures under availability rule sets. So that's going to be under admin, rules, availability rule sets, universal availability. So we could do something like add more. Let's add closures. Let's say Monday. So there we go. So that's it. That's what I wanted to cover today. I hope this was helpful. As always, any questions that you have about this or anything else, the tech support department is always happy to help, and you can reach them at 505-435-9731, extension 102, or support@eventrentalsystems.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.